how to end the cycle of hopelessness and helplessness. In case we haven't met yet, I'm jessxgoh. I'm the sole founder of Life in Confidence. And I'm speaking to the anxious personality type, childhood trauma number 2. So what does that mean? Are you an anxious personality type? So according to the book called Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel S.F. Heller, the anxious type are needy. They need to be in a relationship to feel validated, to feel loved. They need that external source of life force energy to fill themselves up because they're not able to do that within themselves. That's what they need to feel secure in this world. With childhood trauma number 2, what's triggering this is unresolved trauma where they were emotionally neglected or abandoned by their biological parents. So they have the need to be needy, to be with people because they are afraid of their own company, which is loneliness. So I want to share my experiences of this, and it comes and goes. And what triggers it is my intimate relationships with men, whether that's physically, emotionally, sexually, or even just online. And when I experience a really profound and deep connection, I get light up from the inside out. And then I become addicted to this light. And I just feel everything is all good. I'm in ecstasy. And when the man doesn't show up, perhaps he ghosted me on the 4th day, or he said yes to coming to see me in Australia, and then all of a sudden he said no, my world comes down crashing and crumbling into gazillion pieces. And I find myself getting caught up in a panic attack or a deep state of depression where there is despair. Why did this happen to me? Why me? What did I do wrong? And I didn't get closure from that. I didn't get a clear answer because this is the typical avoidant and anxious relationship dynamic where the anxious is experiencing a high by being in a relationship with this person and they felt so special, and then all of a sudden it's taken away from them like a rug underneath their feet, falling down onto the ground and struggling to get back up again and not getting any form of clarity or closure from the avoidant personality type to explain why they decided to withdraw and run away, or not giving a clear answer, making excuses not to hurt me by not telling me the truth. And when this showed up time and time over again, how did I pick myself back up again? And it didn't happen overnight like that. It was a journey every single time. The first time I was doing it on my own, and I was so devastated when my ex-boyfriend dumped me, who was 17 years older than me, dumped me via message saying that I was too negative. I went into a deep state of depression. I was crying on the train and I struggled to get out of bed. There was so much anger and despair. I didn't process that very well, and in fact lashed out my anger onto others and project my pain onto others. I didn't do the inner work. I didn't seek a guide to help me with this, or a coach or a mentor. And then when it happened again with a different man who was younger than me and ticked all the boxes, I was going through a panic attack, and I did have a relationship coach, and she couldn't figure out what was triggering it. So she passed me on to her mentor who specialized in trauma. And through that experience of seeking her mentor, I went through a lot of lows through the experience in a group dynamic and through private sessions where I was cracked wide open and I didn't know how to deal with all of this trauma and anxiety that was showing up for me because he didn't help me integrate it properly. I was just another 90-minute client session for him, and that was it. Sure, I did got breakthroughs from it, and it was simply not enough until I discovered myself through my own self-worth. And when I attracted another avoidant personality type in a romantic encounter, I was devastated, in a depression. I had suicidal thoughts. And I decided to process this by myself, given that I've been trained in 14 healing modalities and invested 11 years in self-development. I need to learn how to stand on my own 2 feet without the support or guidance of a coach, mentor, healer, that I can do this on my own. And I did. And again, it was another journey of recovery where I was seeking guidance from spirit, and it just took time for me to process it properly psychologically, and processes that I had to engage in to release the anger, the hatred, the despair that I had towards this man. And then when I was able to close that chapter with him, I finally manifested a secure personality type, a beautiful man who matches my soul's frequency and what I have to offer to him and to the relationship, where I became a secure personality type just like him. And so through this journey of ups and downs, what I've learned in overcoming despair and finally ending this vicious cycle is that I had to learn to deal and confront and face and experience the full depths of abandonment, being abandoned by men in my romantic relationships and encounters, and just seeing where the root cause is coming from, which is being abandoned emotionally by my mother and her getting caught up in her own stuff, and being emotionally and physically neglected by my father, who engaged in his addictions of work and sex with hookers and mistresses. So I had to address these patterns that were playing out in my family dynamic that I played out in my relationships with men. And when I decided to go deeper into myself, to discover my self-worth again as a woman, as a sovereign being, I was able to put healthy boundaries in place. I was able to explore what I liked and what I didn't like in a relationship and how I wanted to be treated. I got super clear in what I want to experience instead. Whereas before, I was just going for that next shining object that appealed to me. And yes, there were some qualities that I was drawn to, but I wasn't super clear in how I want to experience the relationship. So this journey, these series, and it's not a one-off journey, it's a series of journey where I had to let go and release myself. Another layer of despair, another layer of despair, another layer of despair. And when I keep letting go of the layers through different stages of my life, I was able to finally connect myself to unconditional love, because I finally saw my self-worth. And so the 3 key practical tips that I would love to share with you from my personal experiences that has worked for me and also for my clients is that, first of all, you need to start recognizing the patterns of abandonment. How and where have you abandoned your needs and yourself for someone else? Because childhood trauma number 2 are so addicted to people, relationships, substances like alcohol, drugs, something that's stimulating like cigarettes, coffee, to give them that instant hit to feel alive again from the despair, when really you're abandoning yourself by engaging in these different activities and relationships, by not getting to know yourself on a deeper level, by not diving into the depths of your shadow self that's causing you so much grief and pain. So look into the pattern of self-abandonment that you've experienced in your upbringing where your parents abandoned you. How is this pattern of abandonment playing out in different areas of your life, and how do you do that to yourself? That's one. The second thing is you need to reframe your perspective of your life and your identity. People who suffer from childhood trauma number 2, especially at a deep rooted intensity where they don't see the value in life, they want to give up, they want to just feel like that they're constantly in this stage of depression. And for you to get out of that, you got to minimize your focus on negativity and being a victim. Because being a victim won't get you very far. It will just keep attracting more victimization into your life experiences. That the universe is punishing me, when really you're punishing yourself by seeing yourself as a victim. So when you start to reframe yourself, your situation, the way I have with men, instead of blaming for my personal experience, instead of blaming men for causing me heartache and pain and depression, instead of blaming them, how have I co-created this experience where I chose to see myself as a victim in this? How did I choose to see this as a negative experience? When really, these men have come into my life to awaken something inside of me that I need to attend to, that I've been abandoning myself for such a long period of time because I was conditioned that pain is not safe. Trauma isn't safe. So that's step 2, reframing your situation. How can I learn to be my own best friend? Where can I start to minimize and diminish the negative in my life and start to highlight what is actually working out in my life? Now, what is it that I can be grateful for? And when you strengthen that muscle of gratitude, you start to see and experience your life differently. When you start to see every negative trigger, trauma experience in your life as a lesson for your soul's learning in this school of earth, that you came here to reincarnate, to learn from these experiences in order for you to evolve and grow out of victimization and desperation and despair of being deprived of unconditional love, when unconditional love resides inside of you. And if you struggle to experience that, you need to connect with source, spirit, living consciousness, not just people, not just through substances and abusing them and using that as a coping mechanism. You need to learn how to be emotionally independent by sourcing love within yourself, by connecting with spirit, not just through other people alone, because you create a toxic codependent relationship dynamic and you will keep spinning your wheels in this pattern of helplessness and hopelessness when that person leaves you, just the way I've experienced it with men, until I learned to stop dating and seeing men and engaging with them in whatever capacity, shape, way, or form, and learn to be my own best friend, where I had to practice being celebrant and being single, so I can clean out my consciousness, clean out my energy, so I can tune in with my own energy instead. And then lastly, how can you manage your energy? Because this particular personality type, the anxious type, childhood trauma number 2, your personality, you have a tendency to take. And you struggle to hold space for yourself because you're so busy talking. And you get tired by talking so much, as well as the negative narrative that you see yourself in. So what if you catch yourself out when you see the negative narrative and correct the negative narrative and see how you can be your own best friend? How can you start talking less so you can hold more space in your lungs, in your lung capacity, so you're not getting caught up in being fatigued and overwhelmed when you're constantly speaking from your head and not from your heart space? How can you speak less? By settling the mind and being more present within yourself, by speaking less and just feeling more into the senses. Because the more you speak, especially from the mind, the more you engage with your trauma. You're reenacting that victimization. I'm not enough. So what if you fill up your lung capacity by speaking less, doing some breathwork activities to fill up your lungs, so you start to feel the wholeness and fullness within yourself. Now, I'm not saying this is gonna be an overnight hit in healing your trauma. As I've mentioned before, it's a series of journeying within yourself. And each journey goes deeper and deeper and deeper as you start to let go and surrender to your spirit, not your conditioning of trauma as your identity. So if you will love to dive deeper with me, I invite you to join me for my full moon ancestral trauma clearing circle via Zoom, so you can start rewrite your story and breaking these patterns with your ancestors that's been indoctrinated within yourself. You can click on the link below to learn more or to book your ticket. If you like to experience more expansion and spiritual abundance, for that to reflect into your relationships and different aspects of your life, you might be interested to join me for my new moon Divine Abundance Circle and Ceremony via Zoom and at my place in Bondi Beach, which you can also click in the video description as well. And if you like to take yourself further, please join me for my Transforming Trauma 2-day workshop, which you can find in the links below. And I'll be running these workshops locally, interstate, and overseas. So please look at the video description to learn more about that and to book your spot, as I only take 8 people maximum. And If you need to book a free clarity call via Zoom with me to ask me questions, if this experience is right for you, if you have any concerns, if you need to be on a payment plan, please take advantage of the clarity call. It will serve you to help you make the right decision for yourself so you can live a life beyond trauma. And if you feel you got something out of this video, please do me a favor and subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can reach to more people through these messages and start making this world a better place for all of us. You can give this video a like, share it with your loved ones, or comment below. So my love, may you be the light that's in your heart.